So good evening one and all present here, all the visitors, guests, as well as the members here. So welcome to the Mask Leadership Community Leaders Connect episode 008, where leaders create more leaders. My name is Prakash Sharma, the founder director of Bija Training and the author of the book, The Mask Leadership. The Mask Leadership Community is built with the purpose of creating 1,000+ leaders, where each week after week on Wednesday, where all the members join in and to look forward to listen to a top management leader from a corporate company to share their success stories, which will influence our members as well as visitors. And the whole aim, as the more and more we are listening from the leaders of the top management, that's when we start growing. So great. So that's where we are here today. So let me also share that all the participants, all the members and visitors here are muted for time being, but we will be giving you an opportunity to unmute yourself to speak with our guest during some time. And let me also share that we are live on YouTube, as well as this has been recorded for our internal purposes. Great. On that note, so if you all are ready to start listening to our guest today, Mr. Rohit Toshniwal, kindly type in the chat box yes, and we will be starting ahead with the discussions with Mr. Rohit Toshniwal. So kindly type in the chat box yes if we all are looking forward to listen to him. So let me see how many yeses are coming on the chat box, and thanks very much. There are people who are typing in yes. We are currently 25, and as our members as well as visitors will be joining in, let me share, thank you for all the participants who have written yes on the chat box. Let me share a quick overview about Mr. Rohit Toshniwal and a personal experience about him, and professional experience, as I shared, we will be sharing it through a video. So Mr. Rohit is married to Ms. Ruchika, and he has 2 children, 1 son and 1 daughter. His wife is a graphic designer, and his daughter's name is Krisha and son is Rayansh. Both are aged 11 years and 9 years. Rohit's favorite sport is playing tennis, and his always favorite is also cricket, in fact. So there's a lot more, in fact, to talk about Rohit, but this specific session is about delegate to elevate, and there's something specific more we are going to look forward from Mr. Rohit. But before we take Mr. Rohit's understanding of how the delegation is being very powerful and empowerment is powerful, let's understand about Rohit, about his professional experience through a video. So let's see the video about Mr. Rohit Toshniwal. Great, so thanks very much. So all the visitors and members here, please do write, welcome Rohit Toshniwal. I'm sure, Rohit is here for us to share his life experiences and his success stories to us, which is also going to influence us in terms of how we are going to do it. So Rohit, I would request you to kindly turn on your video. Yeah, he's already done it. So hi Rohit, how are you?
Yes, good evening one and all.
Great.
Just for the starters, instead of being addressed as Mr. Rohit, address me as Rohit, and likewise everybody else in the guests over here. Thanks a lot.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Rohit. That has really been great that you've been here for our community now. And a lot to know more about you and the way of your success stories of how you've been reaching here. So let's start, Rohit, and other people will be joining us. So, Rohit, as we all are aware, we have created a theme of delegate to elevate. I'm sure the most appropriate person for it. So there is a famous quote, right? So which talks about we need to delegate and empower people, and it's only then we shall grow. So in fact, if you have to delegate and empower people, only then we grow. That means, what is your say on this, or what is your views on this, Rohit?
Yeah, that's absolutely very true. We are the third generation into the same family business. Historically, the mindset has been that leaders are fully responsible for the success of the business. Uh, it was all right back then, right? I mean, because it was less dynamic, people were less exposed, everybody were happy with their routine tasks. But then I think as the world has actually become more flatter, everybody is things are a lot more available, things are a lot more reachable. But of course, historical leaders, old habits die hard. We still want the control. Uh, it is necessary to delegate, and that's the only way to grow. That's really the way things have changed from heroic leadership to the post-heroic leadership. Um, and really, I'm sure you will definitely enlighten everybody else on the heroic and post-heroic, but I think that's a different topic by itself. But it is really today's the era of post-heroic leadership. The workforce is a lot more flexible. You need the workflow. You need to be a lot more agile, and you need to trust everybody as you keep going along. So yeah, I mean that is the way ahead.
True. So that means saying that the post-heroic leadership is where you're highlighting that we need to start trusting people, and that means you're talking about in terms of delegating. If we have to delegate a certain key task, that's when we will be able to elevate ourselves. Is the trust what we need to have on the person whom we delegate has to be high. That's what you're able to say, right? So wonderfully told. Definitely the trust and the agility at which we need to be should definitely be high. And there are sometimes we delegate just for sake of delegating. So let me ask you one more, which is a very common understanding. As people are growing, it becomes a challenge as what to delegate, or what task to delegate, what not task, or which is not a task which should not be delegated. That's when, for some of the managers and above, as they're growing, they get confused. So as and when we receive a task, they get into the mode of delegation just because of they have subordinates. So if you could just enlighten, I understand that you are managing now 4 companies and managing director for 4 companies, different roles. I'm sure there are a lot of aspects to it. So when you empower somebody in terms of doing it, so before delegating and empowering somebody, and after you empower some to certain tasks to your subordinate, what is the steps you generally follow in your experience, so that will be adding value?
Yeah. So I think there are 2 things to this. One is, what is the task to delegate, and the more important question is who to delegate, right? I mean that is also becoming a very dilemma situation.
Yes.
Ideally, we all wish that we had our twins in our organization. We had clones of ourselves in the organization. Everybody should think exactly like the way I want to think. And I wish people execute their jobs. It is a challenge, but I think we slowly have to kind of unwind the threads, and we try to. Of course, there is no systematic method, but you could kind of make it a logical step, and first and foremost of the few logical steps that we think is, I think, articulating what we want to achieve. What is the task, right? Many times we may think that this is the task and they execute it wrong. And then we'll end up saying that, we have the wrong person for this job, for this task. I have to sit and see every memo. I have to sit and sign every document. So really it is articulating, let's say, a tangible vision. Ironic, tangible and vision, they don't get along very well. But yeah, a tangible vision is something that you can kind of see what your person wants to achieve at the end of that direction and the thing that you're giving, and the tangible direction. So it really first is articulating what you want to kind of pass on the information to the next, the task or the delegation.
True.
The second thing is, when you want to delegate a task to a person, I think it's also important, a two-way communication. It should not be necessary that all the time we or I get influenced by the other person, or the other person always gets influenced by me. So we kind of have to find the right match on a person, that person is also accepting or not accepting certain way to execute the job, right? So it should not be just a one-way influence, it has to be a mutual influence.
Okay.
And I think the third step that generally we look at it is slowly kind of maturing a team, developing a team, giving the team responsibility. These three kind of guided steps would kind of help all of us approach towards delegating a task, or delegating a task to a person, or delegating the task to somebody. So something in those lines has worked very well for us. And you will see that in course of time, that the team itself, by its past history, will kind of get together and say, he's very good at this. This is his strength. This is his weakness. They self start identifying individual skills that works beautifully in an inclusive network, in an inclusive organization. Kind of working with certain scoreboards, that works very well. Right. So yeah, these are few directions that is very important, and of course, the most important is definition, or defining what is the meaning of being done. When a task is being done, what is the definition of the task being done?
Perfect. Wonderfully shared. We're putting it as a 3-step is what you're saying, and that's how we have been working in your. These are the key successes which is in your organization. And especially the third step, which comes about responsibility, and the second step you're talking about being and making it a two-way. It's just not only giving it away the work or just delegating a task. And the first one also you shared. So good one. So these 3 steps is something really great which you've been really following, and I'm sure that will really add a lot of value. But let me also ask you one more question here, Rohit. See, there has also been a myth. The myth says that, in fact, if I want, I'm actually only going to delegate to people, or I'm not delegating. There are some managers who come across saying that I'm not delegating because, as you rightly told, we want like people, the perfection, the same perfection. Since when I'm doing it, it is very perfect. But when I delegate the same task to somebody else, it is not that perfect. And because of that itself, many people are in fact not delegating the task, and they end up doing. When they end up doing, is there really constant growth, do you think? Or what do you think in such cases the leaders should be doing?
That is really a catch-22 situation. There are 2 points to this. When you want to delegate, you will say the person is not taking the responsibility. Right. And on the other side of the coin is saying that, I don't get opportunities, I don't get responsibilities. So it is really a catch-22 situation. I think first I would like to kind of tell how is it that we can get out of this situation. In my mind, or what has worked well for us, is giving incremental opportunities to the group or to the people. Test the waters, see how the task goes, and then you will give an incremental responsibility, and then you will keep upping the delegation, and you will most of the time you will be surprised that the team, and really your team, I mean, it is our team. We are the people who kind of got them together, and we want them to work with us. They will deliver a lot more than actually what you can think about. And really, if you and really, as the saying goes, right, the fish will be the last person to discover water. The fish will discover water only if you get the fish outside the water, right? And then the fish will say, "Oh, I was in water all this time." And that is, once you kind of shift that environment, you will start thinking about the organization. And when you start thinking about the organization, we will stop doing the few little important things. Every day you feel this is important, this is important. That's great to focus today, to keep you afloat today. But growing, which was the second part of your question, is it letting us grow?
Yes.
The growing is going to happen when you start thinking of the goal, the more important part, which is going to keep you afloat for the future. So that is more important. And many times we kind of get entangled in this day-to-day important things. And the minute you're able to unleash that, the growth will be, phenomenal in those lines. So yeah, I think that works very well.
Great. So that's actually the myth you're talking about. So once we do this, I mean, rightly said, so it's more of, you're calling it as an incremental, what is that word you use? Incremental
responsibility.
So step by step is what you give one after the other, is it? And then test the waters, how they are. And then is where you actually give them a key task or a bigger task is what you do it. So that's a nice tip. So that's how you've been doing it in your company, which is giving you results, right? Great. And as you told the first point itself, the heroic and the post-heroic in terms of adding trust. Definitely when we start giving it, only we will be able to grow. And yes, so good one. So there's also been one more. Generally, these are some of the mindset when a particular person is a manager to a senior manager, when they move up the ladder of leadership, the mindsets comes across saying that is, what if I delegate the task to my subordinate? And if I share it, most of it he will be able to do, and then what am I going to do then? And there's a kind of
an ideal world, right?
Yes. There's more fear of insecurity comes, and they don't in fact delegate in the task, right? So if I delegate most of the things, then what am I going to do? So have you faced with such people in your organization where, and then they keep the task only doing it within themselves, and they do not delegate? Speed it slows the process sometimes. If you have had dealt with such kind of people, just kindly share your experience of how you would have managed such people. That will be adding value.
Sure. So I think that level of insecurity does come in. Sometimes, and I have to be honest, sometimes it could happen to me also. But then you have to kind of step back once and say that, listen, is that why I climbed up the ladder? Is that what I want to do? And most of the time when you kind of sit back and you say, no, we are here for the larger goal of the organization. I moved up looking at the larger goal of the organization, looking at my personal growth. I have moved, for instance, we have people who have moved in from a simple being a fresher from a service engineer, today being a director in the organization. And he has faced certain challenges. We have found people trying to stumble his growth. And then we kind of talk the way out. And the minute you start talking your way out, you will kind of, it'll be like an army of ants, that when a person wants to go here and then suddenly you find a boulder in the center, the guy or the team will find its way around it and then really get going. And ultimately keeping the goal as the prima facie, everything will start falling in place. And if the team starts working towards that, it works beautifully. Also, just start focusing. So when especially the senior people start thinking about job insecurity, we kind of sit with them and try to understand, listen, now today you have got 15, 20, 30 years of experience, your experience cannot go waste. We need you to start focusing on the 20%, the standard 80-20 rule. You start focusing on the 20%, the more important jobs, and you will start seeing that the senior manager will start focusing, saying that, you know what, I'm made for this 20% job. I better start focusing on the 20% job and forget about the 80%. And it is really a lot of chatting and talking, and then, like the Anne story, it works very well.
Perfect, perfect. So that means you actually interact with those people. The insecurity feeling is where you need to bring it out. So for that, slowly they need to start making the trial runs. They also need to start delegating. Otherwise, the coin stops there, right? So good, great, wonderfully
Absolutely.
shared, Rohit. So Rohit, before we go to the quiz, I believe there are a couple of participants have already put in some chat box some of their questions. So let's take one question. I believe Mr. Rajiv has asked a question. Can you share one success example of delegating and when you failed? That's what Rajiv is asking. So if someone you have delegated and you failed there, so
Yeah.
what could be?
No, that's so I think I would not say one failed. There has been a couple failed, and many times the failure has happened with a certain level of overconfidence that we have with certain people. We don't follow an incremental responsibility. For example, there was this engineer where typically in our organization we represent a lot of foreign companies, and generally we do not allow after a certain level of people to communicate with overseas principals for the reasons that being that communication, language, etc., etc. And we kind of opened the boundaries. And we see that emails have been flashing everywhere. The fundamental cultural difference that this young engineer, he was very dynamic and he wanted to show, listen, I'm here and I want to sell more and I want to do a lot more. But the way he was expressing it was very different, like the way our principals were perceiving the information. So that mismatch of the culture failed miserably. Not only it created differences in our understanding with the principal, but at some point the engineer kind of got frustrated and he's saying, you know what, this is not made for me. So we had to kind of clean up that entire process, and then we had to say it was a cultural difference, it was an understanding difference, it was the Indian English versus the German English, which was not matching. So certain of those things really have not worked well. But very simple things of again incremental responsibilities worked very well. Was just do we need to be involved in marketing, for example? I don't need to be involved in marketing. We slowly start delegating and seeing digital marketing, online, offline, and then now we have kind of created a team of online, offline, digital marketers, and then the team is doing phenomenally well. They've taken the responsibility. We have a scorecard. It's displayed. It's working well. So far, so good.
Great. Wonderful, Rohit. Thanks for sharing that. In fact, that's something really been great. What you're talking about, that there could be many failed. I mean, as you rightly told, when it fails, it's more of acceptance. What we need to do is what you're coming out sharing it. Good one. So, in fact, also one more, Mr. Gopi Krishna is there. Gopi Krishna, we will definitely come back to you for your question. Gopi Krishna wants more clarity on taking the fish out of the water. So what does that mean is what Gopi Krishna wants to know. Nevertheless, maybe let's finish off with Gopi Krishna's question, then we will have a short quiz as well. So go ahead and I can answer that question of Mr. Gopi Krishna, Rohit.
Sure, absolutely. So what I was trying to drive over here is that suddenly you will find that the organization is just so perfect, right? I'm doing my job, my next person is doing my job, the team is doing its job, everything is just so perfect and so calm. Now we want to find the ultimate goal. We see the goal, 2-year, 3-year goal. The minute you start shuffling a little bit, or the minute you start, you see the delegation of a very important task and nobody wants to touch it. That's the time when you get the fish out of the water, you will discover that this fish is actually a lot more capable of doing, unlike where he was in his limited boundaries. And then you will just see a whole wave change that happens. Does that make sense? If I was able to elaborate.
Definitely, yes, Rohit. We'll be unmuting them shortly. In fact, in other words, as you rightly told, it is more of taking them to the zone of, from the comfort zone, taking them outside the comfort zone. And when we start doing that, and that's when they will really start flourishing out. So taking outside the comfort zone will start knowing the capacity of what actually they can do, and they can really do much more wonders. So they are comfortable
Absolutely.
with some of the routine tasks what they do. Only when we start empowering them with some more, excellently shared, Rohit. Wonderful. So thanks very much, Rohit, for sharing some of these points, which has really been great. And let me also share, let's take a quiz of quickly now. So it's quiz time, members and guests and visitors who are here for time being. So the quiz is going to be simple. Let me share you the last week's quiz winner first. Last week's quiz winner is me, Mr. Rajiv, who is in the Niche Learning Private Limited. Excellent, Rajiv. That was wonderfully answered last week, because we always look for the fastest fingers first in typing things. So great. Thanks very much, Rajiv, for sharing it. And let me ask you this particular question for the week. And let me also share with you what Rajiv received once people who are answering correctly whatever discussions has happened. They are actually getting the Mask Leadership Online 360-degree assessment. And I'm sure that will add a lot of value. The Mask Leadership Online 360-degree assessment is nothing but a feedback assessment from your superiors, from your subordinates, and from your colleagues and customers about your leadership style, which helps you in terms of addressing and increasing in your constant growth in leadership. So let's see this week who's going to get the 360-degree Mask Leadership assessment. So for that, the question is going to be very simple. For the second question which I asked, and Rohit has shared that there are three major points or steps in terms of delegating, is what he told, the three simple steps which he follows in his company. So what are those three simple steps which Rohit follows in his company? Is what, Sujata has rightly told three steps, but what are those three steps, Sujata? And articulate two-way communication and responsibility. Great, Raghuraman. Raghuraman has rightly identified articulate, two-way communication and responsibility. Wonderfully shared, Raghuraman. Those are the three steps which really enlightens in terms of the processes which Rohit follows in his company. Good, Rohit. So Raghuraman, so definitely you will also get an opportunity. In fact, you've been the quiz winner of last time. So what you will be getting this time is, Raghuraman, team, I would request you to kindly unmute Mr. Raghuraman on the same, so that he'll be able to speak. So Raghuraman, this time you will be getting the Mask Leadership book, which is going to be released shortly. We'll be unmuting you shortly, Mr. Raghuraman. So yeah, it's done. I believe you're unmuted, Raghuraman. You can also be able to speak. Yeah?
I'm very happy. I'm delighted to participate in this session every week without fail, number one. Number two, Mariko, already I have done this program and already you've given the opportunity for me. I request you to give the opportunity for the second person, if you don't mind.
Definitely. Second person is actually Sujata Suresh has written it, in fact, excellently, saying that articulate, keeping things easy, light, and comfortable communication and responsibility. Thanks, Mr. Raghuraman. That's one of the quality of a leadership where we generally start giving it for the other people as well. So great. You are the
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But Raghuraman, maybe later part we would like you to share maybe in the next meeting or other about your key ways of the 360-degree Mask Leadership little later. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So let's ask Sujata. So Sujata, thanks very much. You also have been the next person to get this answer rightly. So Sujata, I would request you to unmute yourself, and if you have any question to ask Rohit, and this is the time you can ask Rohit, Sujata.
Sir, I need one question to ask Mr. Rohit afterwards.
Okay, maybe after Sujata, I'll give you an opportunity.
If time permits.
Definitely, we'll do the same. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raghuraman. I really admire your foresight and giving me this opportunity. It means a lot to me that to get this kind of a prize. And author Rohitji's topic, delegate to elevate, is too good. It's so classy, you know, to remember it. It's very, very nicely, it gets imprinted in the mind. And a great opportunity for me in this COVID times. It means a lot to win something like this. It almost feels like getting a very good assignment. So thank you,
Sure.
Prakash.
Thanks.
I do have a question, Rohit ji.
Please.
This is about when you said, you know, you build trust and grow. I find this very easy with few people. I work in a very small team. The core team is very small. The network is very big. But I find, you know, with the core team, it works out very comfortably working. When I delegate it to someone outside, especially during these COVID times, the other members are equally passionate, but their output is sometimes so unpredictable that, you know, I am finding it difficult to delegate. Okay. So, do you have a solution for these COVID times? Is one thing. And does it mean only for small groups it works well? This is my second question. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Great, great. Thanks very much, Sujata. We'll stay connected. So, Rohit, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Sujata's question.
Thanks a lot for those lovely two questions. I think COVID times is the toughest question for anybody to face today, right? No, it's only an experience sharing that we can talk about over here, because really there's no right or wrong. I think I would keep it away even from the COVID times, right? The problem being that when, and that's what happens even for senior managers or leaders, we kind of get so comfortable with the core people that we don't want to put that extra pedal. Why should I waste that energy and train or push somebody else that, you know, I want to do it, or, you know, push somebody else or any of those things. So that is true, and that is a very, very natural thing that all of us evolve with. But what we, or, you know, we as senior people have, senior people to our company have kind of experienced is saying that it is not that person who has to push his limits. It is we who have to actually push our limits. If we are not able to get out and get and in an uncomfortable situation or challenge our capability to articulate the thing that has to be done, our definition of the job that has to be completed, if I'm not able to articulate that to the outside world, you know, to the extended team, then really it is me who has to go back 2 steps, what we did to our core team, and then realign ourselves. So it is a challenge, and I think it is that we have found that the only way that, you know, we and we do that with you know, we are 3-4 directors, and each of our directors trying to handhold each other or somebody else in the organization and try to push them, you know, pat them and then try to articulate, let them make the mistakes will happen. Also, I know that the challenge is time. Sometimes you say I don't have the time, but trust me, you will get the time when you want to do what you want to do. It will happen. I'm sorry, that was the first question, and the second question I kind of got lost in what I was saying.
Okay, that's fine. I believe it's an excellent answer which you had given, Ms. Rohit. In fact, what you really told us something very, very impressive is it's we need to first articulate appropriately, and sometimes we cannot actually blame. So it's more of a leader's responsibility that we need to fine tune is where you highlighted. That's something really extraordinary, because sometimes as we constantly grow, we miss out that and we feel that we are completely fine. It is the other person who really needs to improve. So that's something really catchy about it here. So that means each individual, though it is a matter of not a position, it's just not about a position, we need to but still keep rethinking about our own self. Did I articulate it appropriately to the other person? And that is something you're really sharing.
Absolutely.
Which is really, really impactful. Great. So thanks very much. And I believe, next question will go, in fact, with Mr. Raghuraman. Yeah, Raghuraman, you had a question, so please go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Rohit, it was very wonderful example and a wonderful presentation you have given there. It is amazing. In fact, I'm not asking a question. I reframe it as a clarification from you.
Okay.
Okay. See, when we do the delegation in proper level, in the proper, very senior level, we do the delegation to the task. My clarification is, when you do the delegation, is there any possibility of preparing a succession plan for the future for the top management of the company to hold the position? When you do the delegation in various level, for the managing director is there, MD is there. The MD next level, maybe the employee, maybe if it is a family-oriented company, it will come to the next level. The son or daughter will take over the situation. Suppose you delegate the task to the next level senior most person, vice president of the company or senior vice president of the company for that. Are you taking it in mind, preparing the delegating to them right from the beginning so that he can also take over the company in future like that? You have any, what is that point from your side in this case?
So I think it's a very company individualistic. We as an organization, we are not doing the task of delegation with the structure that we need to do, an organization planning or a succession planning, right? Our first motto is to achieve the goal, to achieve the vision, what we want to achieve. But some things, especially, again, this was a very heroic leadership in the past. It was a very structured. The owner will be doing this, the next person is doing this, thereafter this. So this was a very heroic leadership, which was in the past. But today, if you're going to be working towards that goal, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, you take BlackBerry, for instance, right? BlackBerry failed miserably because they were not listening to their own team. They were just so structured, and when they wanted to move up the information never reached to the top management.
Okay.
But so it's kind of important that we don't create such a structure with the agenda that we have to create a succession planning. And by time you will see that the succession planning will happen. Of course, we have to have the succession planning, right? The company never dies; it's going to be there forever. It is the people who will keep changing, and you will find the gems coming out the minute you make an inclusive organization instead of a very structured organization. The minute you make it inclusive, you will really find the gems around you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderfully shared.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Mr. Raghuraman, for asking that particular question. On the lighter note, in fact, Rohit, I would like to share that, in fact, my father, Mr. V.L. Srinivas Murthy, in fact, he is here in the room today. Particularly, he has come in here as, in fact, just to share with you, his first career job in 1970 was Toshniwal Instruments, and he has worked there.
No ways. Wow. So I am the wrong person talking here, Vid. I am the wrong person.
Not really, but in fact, definitely, where K.C. Toshniwal was there at that point of time, and he had definitely been worked. Mr. Srinivas Murthy would like to share something to Rohit. Definitely, that will be adding value there, in fact, to Rohit as well. Would like to unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. I am thankful for the Toshniwal organization initially. Thereafter, I just went to so many organizations here and there, and of course, I settled in life. Okay, right from technical to banking, I came as a technical officer. So my career has totally changed. However, with the expertise, whatever I had in Toshniwal and other companies, technical companies, I could come up in the bank like anything to senior level. Okay, I should thank Toshniwal. That was my first career. I was quite happy. That was in Keel Park Thermoelectrics. That is in your present head office now. Okay.
Absolutely,
thank you very much
sir.
for you also. Anyhow, I had not seen you at that time being a senior person. Okay, thank you. I was associated with your K.C. Toshniwal is your grandfather, I hope, isn't it?
That is right. My grandfather, and I seek all your blessings, sir. I think
Yes, yes.
very, very happy to, to hear from you.
Yeah.
So happy.
Okay. I was associated with that one Mr. Somani and Pilani at that time, totally. And K.C. also used to come and meet us once in a while. Okay. Anyhow, very nice of you. I was quite happy when my son said, I have invited Toshniwal Group. Okay, proceed, I said. Okay, thank you very much. Nice of you.
Wow.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks very
a lot.
much. Great. So thanks everyone all for being in here. So let me share quickly summarize what all we have been look forward today. Also time is pressing for us. And I'm sure Rohit has really enlightened us with some of the keys, in fact, points about how do we delegate so that we actually can elevate. And it's every individual's responsibility over a period of time. If we need to elevate to the next level, it becomes mandatory that we empower people and delegate people down the line. And that's when we will be able to. And if we have to empower and delegate, we need to start trusting people, give responsibility to people. And we cannot have the fear is what in fact, he's been sharing it. And those are the points. Without even having the fear of insecurity, we need to start trusting that these people also will move towards the goal of the organization. And that's what we've been discussing. And that's where through our mask leadership model, in fact, we always mention it out. So today, in fact, Rohit has completely spoken about the key skills, one of the skills required as a leader to constantly grow. And that's what this mask leadership model talks about. The last week, we spoke about productive habits as a leader, then unproductive habits as a leader, which needs to be stopping. And today, Rohit has highlighted us about the skills as a leader. And one of such skill as a leader, which you need to have for a constant growth, is delegation and empowering people. And wonderful, Rohit, wonderfully summarized most of the aspects in terms of your 3-step model, what you have been sharing it with your respective team. So it's really been great. So for the visitors here who are coming here for the first time in the room, if you like to know more about the mask leadership, please do visit our website, www.themaskleadership.com, to know more about the model of the mask leadership and how this really helps in a leader's constant growth. And for the people who like to join this particular community, the mask leadership, let me share again, every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. is where we all come here to one particular room where all the leaders are having the mindset of listening to the success stories from a top management from a corporate company, a top management leader from a from a corporate company. And that continuously, the more and more week after week, we listen to success stories for top management leaders. And I'm sure that's where we talk about leaders creating more leaders for the constant growth. So if you wish to be joining in, that's my mobile number will be there in the chat box for people or visitors for the first time who have come in. So if you like to join a part of this particular community, please feel free. You can give a message to me, or you can always give me a call, and then we'll be adding you to this particular leadership community. And the time now to also share with you about the next leader for a week. The leader for the next week, in fact, let me share that as well. The leader for the next week is, in fact, we have identified him, Mr. Arumugam, with 24 years of experience, been the same company, HDFC Bank, where he just grew from an executive in sales till now currently the vice president of the vehicle loan division, especially rural vehicle loan division. And it's actually, if you really could see the challenges which is faced is tremendous. And the role what he's going to play is developing as a skill is something very, very important. Today in HDFC Bank, he will be able to highlight in the next week is how he has developed his complete team. What steps has he taken right from the sales executive till the vice president, 24 years been into it. He's developed so many people, and the very important point is most of the people are still with him. It is just not people come and leave and they go, but most of the people are with him. And what are there? What is that secret is what he's going to share with us next week. And leaders from the community as well as for the visitors here, let me also share you one more important thing. There's episode 1010, the 10th episode is something very, very special. Why very, very special? Because I have invited a key corporate leader who is currently the current chairman of Bharat Petroleum Limited is what is going to come with us for the 10th episode. And just imagine the current chairman of Bharat Petroleum Limited, I'm sure is going to share most of his success stories. He's been having 37 plus years of experience, a HR director. He's been HR director turned to be a chairman. And stay tuned, many more leaders are coming up in the Mask Leadership community who are willing to share and create more leaders for our society. Definitely, those all will add a lot of value to each individual's constant growth here. So great. So these are all the points, in fact, we want to summarize this week. So Rohit, what could be one last message you would like to share with our community members here today?
I think it's the leader and the team together that have a long way to achieve. Just trust each other, and success will not be far. It's all about trust.
Wonderfully, you're putting it in one word, as you rightly told, is trust, but adds a lot of huge bonding to it. And definitely, trust is one key word. If we have to constantly grow, we need to start trusting people. Great. That's
golden word. It's a golden words.
It's a golden word, Raghuram. Thank you very much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that, Raghuram. So great, in fact, Rohit, for sharing it. And you were saying something else, Rohit. Please go
Yes.
ahead.
Now, I do want to thank everybody for patiently listening. I hope I was able to add a bit of value from whatever experience that I was able to share. And I have to thank Prakash for I mean, Prakash, you're doing a wonderful job with the series of Mask Leadership. Kudos to you, and all the very best and success for future.
Definitely. Thanks very much, Rohit. All the blessings from all the leaders. Definitely, it's going to help each one of us. And I'm sure we all have the capabilities to definitely grow. The members in our community, as well as the visitors who are in here today, definitely everybody has got a bright future. I'm sure we are only taking steps to ensure that we all are moving in the right path in the right direction. Thanks very much, Rohit, for in fact coming in here, sharing your valuable time with us, with all the members, as well as the visitors here in today. Okay. So before we leave, as usual, we have a thanking video. So let's see the thanking video and we'll complete it once at the end. So let's see the thanking video. So thank you one and all. So let's not forget, please do remember to share your learnings in the Leaders Connect, which is the Telegram group. Please do share all the learning points there in it so that will add value. And do remember, everyone knows everything. Just knowing does not make a difference. Let's start demonstrating. I'm sure some of the key strong points, the 3-step model, what Rohit told, the trust, what he highlights, only the more of demonstration, constant growth comes. So thanks one and all for being in here. And it's been really great meeting you all again. Meet you all again next week, same time. And until then, have a great week. Thank you one and all. So thanks very much, Rohit, for being in. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.